Right?
Who knew StreamYard would be like the Zoom H2? You have a good weekend?
That's funny. That's funny how we remember all that now. Hit the record twice.
Hey, you get burned a couple times, you learn.
Yeah.
There we are. Share. Share now. It's 2025. Has anything on this show changed?
Not much yet. We got some stuff cooking.
All right. Here we go. Share now. Okay. Audio looks good on my end. How about your end?
Sounds good. Sounds like you're
Yep.
skipping a little bit, but not that kind of skipping.
Skippy school?
More like a record skipping.
Welcome to Techno. Welcome to Techno. Welcome to Techno. Welcome to Techno. Welcome to Techno.
Yeah.
Just making sure I didn't miss anything. We have our question of the week. The voicemail was not for us. It was for Topicus Trek. And I did not share the social media post. Darn it. Well, we got pretty good responses in our one. All right, Mr. Smarty Alec. You shared 2 minutes ago, but you didn't get anything.
I shared what?
The question of the week.
I shared it yesterday.
No, you posted it to the Rama podcast, but you didn't share it to your personal account till 2 minutes ago. So don't give me crap about that.
No, I think I shared the wrong one again. I already shared it.
Now that the holidays are over? Yeah.
That's not right.
Anyway.
No.
Now that the holidays are over, if you could come up with a new holiday tradition using the latest and greatest tech, that's what's posted on the page yesterday.
I know. I'm saying, never mind. No. It's misunderstanding. Just go.
And my wife.
What? I'm trying to understand what you're talking about.
All right, let's begin.
I'm not the crazy one here.
Uh-huh. The world is crazy, not me.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Technorama episode 762. AI ate my homework. Hello and welcome to Technorama, the show that takes a lighthearted look at tech, science, sci-fi, and all things geek. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the show. If you're a returning guest, welcome back. We appreciate you giving us your time. My name is Chuck Tomasi from sunny Phoenix, Arizona, and right over there is Craig Stepp as always. How are you, Craig Stepp, as always?
I'm doing as good as always, I guess. Yeah, doing good. So how'd you ring in the new year, Chuck?
With a bell? No.
With a bell?
With a ring? No. We were at some friends who are usually our Bible study group, and we just had a social event. Played some songs on the ukulele, played some games, had some food and whatnot, and we did the same thing as last year when they dropped the ball in New York at 10 p.m. our time. We called it a night. We weren't staying up till midnight local time because nothing really happens after the New York ball drop anyway. So
that's true. Yeah.
And, all the wackos are on the road later at night too. So we got home about 10:30, and we were supposed to spend some time with Lisa and Grantus, but they were already in bed. So
wow. Okay. They went to bed before you guys did?
Well, they were in their house. I don't know what the situation was. We texted.
Oh, okay.
It's fine.
No. Kim and I were in
on New Year's Day.
Yeah. Well, Kim and I were in Italy. So we were staying in the Santo Spirito Square, which is there's a big basilica right there, and we were in an apartment. So we went downstairs There, right, literally beside the door is a little bar. So they had chairs and stuff outside. So we had some wine and met a couple from Germany, and then we knew that there was supposed to be music in the square. I was expecting like a band to be set up or something, a
Yeah.
stage or something. Wasn't quite like that. It was these people were uh kind of what's the word for it? I don't know, kind of marching through, and then they'd stop and they start singing, and they were blowing fire and all kinds of stuff and singing, and it was kind of fun to be in a different country,
Yeah.
as the new year came in. And it was funny because I started thinking to myself, think I mentioned it to you as well, is that this is the first time I rang in the new year before anybody in the United States did, because I've always been in the States my whole life.
Right.
So I thought
Right.
that was an interesting thing. But it was really cool. We had a great time.
You got to go to like Australia or something and then tell people here at like 8 a.m. Happy New Year. Like, wait,
That's right.
it's
That's right.
until December 31st morning. Not for
Yeah.
me.
Well,
I'm
I
done
was
for
able to
that
get a
day.
bunch of tech. I was able to get a bunch of texts out before everybody else celebrated it. In the United States. Texting all my friends and stuff.
Yeah. And
So
then let's see, you would have been ahead of London. So yeah, it's always interesting when you're watching someone else celebrate. Going, it's like middle of the afternoon.
yeah,
Was was this
yeah.
pre-recorded or something?
What is Craig day drinking?
It's easy to get messed up with the seasons too, especially when you're in an area that it doesn't have any snow. It was about this time,
Right.
maybe 2015, shortly after we moved to Phoenix, Arizona. We were cruising around and watching live cams. I think it was on Apple TV, and it said, "Here's Yellowstone. Here's Old Faithful. Watch it explode." And why is there a whole bunch of snow on the ground? Oh wait, it's February.
Yeah. Surprise.
I don't have that anymore.
Right. Yeah, you don't have that anymore.
Well, before we get any further, I want to wish all the best to the people who are enduring the forest fires in California
Oh,
and the Los
absolutely.
Angeles area. There's been a lot of devastation, not just uh, the people who lost the homes, but you think about it, there's like landscapers who take care of those people's homes. They don't have
Mhm.
clients, at least for a while. So it's
Oh,
impacting
yeah.
a lot of people in secondary jobs as well. So we wish everybody who's impacted all the best. We'll keep you in our prayers.
Yeah, that place is terrible. It's devastating to watch. Uh, it's like days later, and those fires are just still raging on. It's ridiculous and heartbreaking.
It's always curious why we build homes and choose to settle in such disaster prone areas.
I don't know. I'm not. I've heard my wife talk about those Santa Ana winds.
Yeah.
And those are not helping, especially when they blow the embers around. In
Yep.
the air for a mile or two.
They're the cause of
It's
all the
ridiculous.
dryness.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the beginning of it. So yeah.
All right, let's move on with that sentiment out of the way. We have our weekly question.
Mm, mm, mm.
Letters, oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day. Mailman, mailman, mail today. Reach right in and pull one out. Letters, I love those letters. Let's find out what you got to say.
Oh boy!
Mailman, mail today.
The fast mailman.
No kidding.
Our question of the week this time around, as I started reading it before the audio recording. Now that the holidays are over, if you could come up with a new holiday tradition using the latest and greatest tech, what would it be and how would it work?
Hmm.
I had to
We
think
got
too
some
hard on that
responses.
one. All right.
You have to
First,
think. Wait,
let's start with
wait.
you.
You have an answer? You got an
No, I
answer?
don't. It's a long
Oh,
question. I have to think too hard about it.
okay.
In my brain, it went TLDR.
Yeah. Right.
Did you have any
How
thoughts when you came up with this?
No, I was just hoping we'd have some good answers. That's all.
Okay, Weber Baker says hologram decorations that go up and come down on their own. Good for any holiday and easily changeable at any point. Sign me up for that when we get it.
Yeah. Well, Kyle Nishioka says the auto magic backup your everything today day, where Magic Pixels do everything for you, and package your backup into a nice, neat little box under the tree.
Magic Pixies. You said pixels.
Pixies. Oh, pixels. I like the idea of Magic Pixels.
That's the Google phone. Thanks.
Yeah.
Lone Guys Night says update the elf on a shelf for the 1/7 scale Boston Dynamics Atlas robot. I thought he meant the dog one that eats the elf, but no, he's got the walking humanoid
Oh, yeah.
one.
Yeah. Our buddy Steve London says hologram relative visits. Just switch them on. Just switch them off when you've had enough, or just don't even boot it up at all. You know.
Hologram relatives.
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta boot up crazy Uncle Eddie.
Right. Oh, turn it off. I can't stand it anymore.
Put him with the hologram decorations out in the yard.
Yeah.
It's very
and the hologram.
It's beautiful, Clark. It's beautiful.
Send him and his hologram RV out of here.
Mike Robinson says, mobile automatic dispenser of snacks, little droid type serving machines that haul festive foods around to partygoers and game day warriors, possibly also including vacuum and floor cleaning utilities. Ooh, it brings you the party and cleans up after it. He's also got a couple more here. He says automatic snow person / statue maker. It either collects any snow available or created with additional snow creating machines like on ski slopes to make a yard full of bright decorations, weather permitting. Recreate the army of snowmen from Calvin and Hobbes,
Yeah.
or create a custom display to tell your neighbors, we are thinking of you. We wish you weren't living next to us. We wish you weren't living next to us. Anyway. He also says, use drones to put up Christmas lights display. Well, I like the ones that are just holographic. They go up by themselves. Would not be surprised if drones are used as part of the light shows also. They're starting to do that.
Are they?
They have tons of drones flying in concert to make decorations and whatnot. Yeah, that's happening already.
Instead of doing fireworks, they're sending up drones and they do. Yeah. I've seen some really cool ones online.
One of the Royal Caribbean boats even has it in their ice rink. They have a set of drones that they turn off the lights and people are skating around and the drones are going off like, this is dangerous.
Really? And following the ship?
Uh-huh.
Huh. Okay.
It's pretty cool.
Wow.
No, not follow inside. You know, remember Studio B on the Star Trek cruise?
Oh,
that's an ice rink.
inside. Oh, inside.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I was thinking, wow, those things would have to eat up some battery trying to match the speed of the ship if they were outside.
You could do it.
All right. So Lisa Soares says an outdoor decoration cannon set up on the front lawn, and all house and landscaping lights get attached to your property in one big bang.
You could do that. It just wouldn't look very good.
Yeah.
Kaboom! Well, there's a bunch of lights on my roof. They're in a tangled mess.
Yeah.
John
That would be
Kretzer
kinda-
says a Christmas tree that sets itself up and tears itself down at the touch of a button, including decorations. That's like the one on the Grinch where it just opens like an umbrella.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
right.
Mike replies back. He said, had a similar idea invoking Transformers robot type parts. They could be customizable for different holidays and sing season appropriate tunes. Optimus Prime singing Silent Night or Megatron crooning You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch. Thank you. A lot of good answers this time. And just
That's
because
right.
the podcast has been recorded doesn't mean you'd have to stop responding to these. We've had people responding a couple weeks later. Going, that's pretty good.
Hey, I would challenge you, anybody, any listener, to go and find an old question and put an answer in there.
Okay.
Go back in our log on Facebook or where you can probably find them online and answer an old question of ours. How about that?
They're all there.
Yeah.
Facebook
answers?
page, Drama Podcast. No, the
Yeah.
questions are still there.
Yeah, the
All
question.
right, let's skedaddle out of here so we can do the history.
Another letter from our listener, Dave.
On this day in history for January 15th, 2025, this is the 15th day of the year. How about that? There are
Yay.
350 remaining in 2025. And because 350 plus 15 equals 365, it is not a leap year. It was on this date in 1759 that the British Museum opened to the public.
It was 207 years ago today. A paper by David Brewster was read by the Royal Society, belated announcing his discovery of what we now call the biaxial class of doubly refracting crystals. On that same day, Augustin Jean Fresnel signs a supplement submitted 4 days later on reflecting on the reflection of the polarized light.
Beautifully done.
Yeah.
It was 136 years ago today that the Coca-Cola Company, then known as the Pemberton Medicine Company, was incorporated in Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Well, I think we ought to go to the Pemberton Medicine Company next time we're at Dragon Con. That just doesn't sound good at all, does it?
Yeah. We're gonna get medicated. James Naismith published the rules of basketball on this date in 1892.
Shoot the ball into the hoop. Score 2 points.
Rinse, repeat. Okay.
Prevent your opponent from doing the same. Also today, 1910, construction ended on the Buffalo Bill Dam in Wyoming in the United States, which was at that time the highest dam in the world at 99 meters or 325 feet.
Damn.
Damn big.
January 15th, 1919, a wave of molasses released from an exploding storage tank sweeps through Boston, Massachusetts, killing 21 and injuring 150 people. Wow. It was known as the Great Molasses Flood because they lacked any other good names.
You laugh, man. 21 people died. It's not funny. No, 106 years ago today. January 15, 1936, the first building to be completely covered in glass was finished under construction. It was built for the Owens, Illinois Glass Company in Toledo, Ohio.
And January 15th, 1967, the first Super Bowl was played in Los Angeles. The Green Bay Packers defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 35-10.
I know most people listening will probably already know this if they're listening to the audio podcast on Wednesday the 15th. But Monday night's playoff game was moved from Los Angeles to here in the Phoenix area in Glendale, Arizona, between the Minnesota Vikings and the LA Rams because of the forest fires.
Oh,
So-
of course.
I was reading some history. It said this is only the second time they've moved an NFL playoff game. They moved regular season games before because of weather or whatnot, but
Oh,
playoff
really?
game is the last one was in 1936 when they had to move a game. I think it was from New York to Boston because of lack of ticket sales. That was their
Ooh.
disaster.
Ah, wow, that'll leave a mark.
Also on January 15, 1969, the Soviet Union launched Soyuz 5.
And we jump ahead to 2001. Wikipedia, a free wiki content encyclopedia, was launched on January 15th. Happy birthday, Wikipedia Day. Or happy
Yay!
Wikipedia Day. Yay.
I use it every day, like on an hourly basis, it seems like.
Yeah. We use it a lot. I use it a lot.
January 15, 2005, ESA's Smart 1 lunar orbiter discovered elements such as calcium, aluminium, silicon, iron, and other surface elements on the moon. Happy birthday goes out of this day to Russian-Swedish mathematician and physicist Sofia Kovalevskaya, born on this date in 1850.
An American businessman and philanthropist, Pierre S. DuPont, was born 155 years ago today.
I heard a slight French accent when you said DuPont.
DuPont.
Finnish chemist and academicist, Nobel Prize laureatist, Arturi Ilmari Virtanen was born on this date in 1895. Pardon my Finnish.
Hungarian American physicist and academic, Edward Teller was born 117 years ago today.
Not the teller from Penn and Teller. This is the teller from like grandfather of the H bomb.
I love Edward Taylor's magic. It's great.
Lloyd Bridges, the American actor, was born 112 years ago today. Hold on. Pause that.
Yeah.
Wrong week to question it from Blue.
Wait.
I picked the wrong week to question it from Blue.
All right. Just had.
You just happen to have that one at the ready? Okay.
I did.
That's right. And born January 15th, 1922, English geneticist Sylvia Lawler.
American minister and activist Nobel Prize laureate Martin Luther King Jr. was born in the state in 1929.
And born January 15th, 1933, English chemist and academic Peter Matalis.
No. Read it. Read that last name again.
Matalis.
Matalis. It looked like Matalis, didn't it?
Yeah.
All right, let's get through the listener birthdays because we're about out of music.
Yeah.
January 3rd, we're going to go back and get a few retroactively because it's our first one of the year. January 3rd, Thomas Gideon from the Command Line podcast. Steve Therian on the 6th. Elvis Presley on the 8th. Thanks for listening, Elvis. Lingo from the Britain Yankee Pubcast on the 9th. The 13th is Tim Cook. Yes, our Tim Cook. Glenn Tolar on the 14th. Ralph Whitfield on the 15th. Fuffy Frog on the 17th. Haven't heard from her in ages.
I know.
Michael Rabelais on the 21st. Happy birthday to all of you. If it's your birthday this week and you're not on the calendar, we wish you all the best anyway. And if you'd like to get on the... There we are. If you'd like to get on the birthday calendar, you can go over to chuckchat.com/birthday. Put your name on there. We'll give you a shout out at the appropriate time of year. There's the link. Wow, I didn't have to prod him at all for that one.
I'm learning. Actually, I bought a shirt from Italy, and it had, was it Da Vinci? It says, "I'm 87 and I'm still learning." So I'm still learning,
Yes,
and I'm
still
87.
Well, I got the remainder of my t-shirts in. I ordered some t-shirts for the 80s cruise, but I also ordered an extra one for a coworker.
Okay.
The one from
Cheap wine. Yeah.
from a Christmas National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, where he's
Yeah.
calling his boss all the names. I want to tell him what a cheap, lying, no good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating. Yeah.
Hey, have you ever seen the behind the scenes picture of that scene?
You told me last time when I told you.
Oh, did I tell you last time?
Yes.
Yeah, everybody was standing there with the cards. That's funny.
All right, if you missed it, go back an episode. You'll hear it.
Yeah.
Let's get on with the news.
Good news, everyone!
Oh, what? Well, we have a story that was slightly misleading. It says a student
Was it?
just built a working fusion reactor for less than $2,000. When you read into the article, it's not actually working. It's a prototype that could be turned into.
It's made out of Legos.
So
No.
clickbait. He built it in 2 weeks for less than $2,000. He said week one was pretty much sourcing the materials. He was inspired by the design of a tokamak, which I think we've talked about before, popular type of fusion device.
Wait,
And-
talk about isn't that from Wisconsin?
Yes, it's a Native American tribe.
Right.
Don't forget to wear your tokamak. It's cold outside.
Right.
Or was he the Grand Inquisitor on History of the World? Hey, Takamata, what do you say?
Yeah. Right.
All right, we
This
are
is
way
pretty
off
cool.
track.
Hey,
But-
this is pretty cool though. Yeah.
It looks neat. It's not actually, creating any fusion that's going on, but he did create a vacuum and he is creating plasma, and plasma is required to get this going. So, the fact that this wasn't billions and billions of dollars, now what it takes to push it over the limit is, maybe a little difficult than we thought.
And another $2,000.
Another 2
God.
weeks.
Yeah. He's fishing for another $2,000 to make this actually work.
He said the biggest challenge he faced occurred midway through week 3 when he had to tackle the vacuum system. Creating a vacuum is crucial because fusion demands incredibly low pressure, allowing nuclei to get close enough to fuse. The process tested Nazarodian's, that's his name, and I pronounced it terribly, his persistence more than anything else in the project. Quote, "This was by far the most annoying part of the project. he revealed in a thread on X, previously known as Twitter. I don't think you need to say that part anymore.
What?
He said on
What
X,
part?
previously known as Twitter.
Oh yeah. Oh no, yeah.
Tiny leaks in the system required meticulous attention, and he worked to seal them all. Not a good silicone caulk.
I was I was just thinking the same thing. I gotta caulk this thing again.
There's a picture of his workbench. I'm going to share it here on the live stream. Should have
Mhm.
done this prior to, but let's do entire screen 2, and I will blow this up so you can see it. This is his
Just click on the
workbench.
picture. Just click on it.
There we go.
Yeah.
I like how the vacuum pump is held up by books.
Yeah. That
I
is pretty
can't,
cool.
I can't do my calculus class. He's a math
Yeah.
major. If I,
Yeah.
I can't use my book. But he's got an adjustable power supply. A couple of, I don't know what these little T-shaped things are that's going in and out, but it looks like something you'd see out of a sci-fi movie. You know, like
Mhm.
Iron Man or something. This is the prototype for the Tesseract or
This
something.
is the beta
Right.
test.
So,
Oh, that is pretty neat though.
a lot
I mean,
of tape, a
actually,
lot of wire.
well, it's kind of amazing to get that close to this with just stuff on your desk, and it's
Yeah.
not much.
Well, I hope somebody makes some good use out of that. Let's remove that for the moment. We may come back to the browser later. Next story. Orange dwarf cave crocodiles. So
Yeah.
these are crocodiles that have been living in a cave in Gabon, which I believe is in Africa, last time I checked. And they are turning orange. The theory is that they climbed in there thousands of years ago looking for food, and they found bats. So they ate bats, and they live in the water that's filled with bat guano, which is another polite way of saying poop.
Yeah.
And their skin is turning orange, and they believe they may be morphing into another species because they definitely have this more colorful orangish yellow tint. And I'm wondering if that's just the pigmentation that's sort of starting to turn off, because you find
I don't know.
cricket fish and
They
whatnot
were
that are
talking.
right. They're like albino with no
Yeah, they
pigmentation.
said that after eating all those bats and living with them for so long, that they were starting to mutate. That's what caused the orange
Yeah.
color.
But it's like cave crickets and cave bats, not bats, but the cave fish.
They
They
lose their
lose their
eyes and stuff.
pigmentation, and yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they're on their way to losing their pigmentation because they are a lot lighter than his friend who's taped up next to him.
Yeah.
Nice and green. Oh, yeah, here, I'll show you the picture. Oh, stupid prompt jumped right on me. Can I click on that picture? No. We'll add that in. There's our orangish, yellowish friend.
Yeah. He's nice and
Here's,
colorful.
here's how the conversation goes. That's a cool looking jacket you got on there, Ted.
Yeah.
Go to the cave.
I shouldn't have eaten that electric tape.
Has anybody seen Steve Irwin? Hate that guy.
Yeah. Right. No, I just thought it was kind of cool. I remember being fascinated by those in school when one of our teachers was talking about the fish that were found in the cave without any eyes because they have evolved that way over time. And then
They
when I
don't
saw
need 'em.
this,
Yeah.
no, but it makes me think about that same stupid story from a long time ago. I just think it's kind of cool how things evolve and interact with their environment, or adapt to them.
Yeah.
I should say.
I
So,
think
yeah,
an
it's cool.
albino crocodile would be nightmare fuel, but actually any crocodile would be nightmare fuel.
Yeah, I don't need any No, forget that.
All right. Finally,
want
we have
those.
a researcher who claims only one breakthrough stands between humanity, and the 1,000-year lifespan.
Did I
Get
lose
this
you?
from jasondeegan.com. And
There we go.
the aging process is kind of built into our DNA, but there are some animals like the Greenland whale and the naked mole rat that may hold the key to repairing DNA. Now, I'm all for this up to a point. If people lived 1,000 years, we already have a population problem on this planet. Imagine if you basically multiply that by 10 and then some.
Well,
Because if Craig Stepp of today lived for 1,000 years, there's going to be a lot more people that didn't die that would have died.
look,
So it
humanity would be so lucky for me to stick around for 1,000 years. All right, start
I
off there.
used you as an example. I didn't say
No,
you were
I said humanity should be so lucky to have me stick around for 1,000 years.
probably won't happen in our lifetime.
No,
Yeah.
I was just reading about, or I'm sorry, today I watched. I think you already saw it. The documentary about Brian Johnson,
No, I did not
where
see
he
that.
wanted to, where what was it? The Netflix Brian Johnson, the guy that wants to live forever. Yeah, don't die. The man who
I
wants
hadn't
to live
seen that.
forever. This is Brian Johnson is the guy. He started a company, ended up buying Venmo,
Okay.
and then he ended up selling it for like $400 million or whatever it was. It was a lot of money. And so he went through a divorce and some struggle with his he wasn't happy with his church and all that kind of stuff. But when he stopped all that, got out of the divorce, and then he started working on his Project Blueprint, where he is going through all this. These are all the supplements I take. These are all the different things I'm doing, trying to reverse his aging. So he's gotten to a point, and that's what this article reminded me of that.
Yeah.
And part of that was now for 12 months that for you and I, he ages about 8 months. So
It's
his
slowed
years,
down. Yeah.
he slowed it down and he's reversed it. What about
Is
5 or
is
6
this the
years at
guy
this
that
point?
gets up and does, he eats the crazy stuff and
Mhm.
okay. He's got a very, I would call it non-standard routine that I probably could not stand in my lifestyle.
It's I could, it's one of those things like having a strict regimen, and
Yeah.
you have to do it every day for things to, be equal, I guess. So you would
It
know how to track things. But
it's the trade-off of, do you wanna live a longer life, but are you living a life worth living at that point?
oh yeah, and they brought that up in the document. Uh, him and his he had a lady that works with the marketing for the part of the some of the products that they do sell, and they said they decided, why don't we put all of your biomarkers, everything, all your data on our website so people can look at it for themselves
Mhm.
and see that. And they did, and everything blew up, and everybody was talking about it on social media about he's doing this. Oh, this is interesting, but this is crazy. And you know, people were saying the same thing that you just said, which I would argue, there's a good balance. I wouldn't say that you have to, stick to this 100%, but there's a
Right.
balance in life, right? You have to
If
enjoy
somebody said,
yourself.
"Oh, you could live 20 more years if you meditated 4 hours a day." Like, that's a lot of time you're taking out of your life when
See,
you're
I would I would rather split that in half, and I'll take an extra 10, but meditate half that, right? There's a balance. That's what I'm saying. But
yeah.
I think I don't think he's crazy, which people were saying they thought he was. I don't think he's crazy. I think he's trying to be scientific about it, but he's one guy. He's not like a big study,
Yeah,
So
this is you gotta remember right.
it's one thing to say, "Oh, these things work because we studied 1,000 people,
Mhm.
not one guy," and that was something somebody else brought up. And went, "That's actually a very good point."
Yep.
But it's interesting. But I don't know. Also, I remember it's a long time ago. I think it was like an article talking about what if we lived a long time, like you said, 1,000 years, and I think that procreation would slow down because people could live 1,000 years. So overpopulation may not be quite as bad.
Well, the
But
women would only be well, depending on if you slowed down the aging process, would they be reproductive longer, or would they just be living longer past menopause.
Well,
There's
just
that
to,
aspect of it too.
well, yeah, just assume that you're the percentages of your life, like you start dropping off at a certain point, it would happen later in that 1,000 years, but I don't know. I don't know. That's like, I wouldn't know until we started living that long. But they
You
were
would
saying that your careers would last longer. You may even have a couple marriages, over that time. You know, it was an
oh,
interesting thought.
could you
Huh?
imagine celebrating your 750th wedding anniversary?
Again?
What's this one? Rice? I don't know. We ran out of uranium. What?
Yeah.
I don't know what's
We're going through the
700.
periodic table now.
We've gone through the periodic table 3 times.
Right.
What? I don't know what anniversary we're on, but man, the comedians will have a field day with that one.
Yeah. Well, I find it interesting, an interesting thought process to say, hey, I'd like to live that long. Well, what would you do? Uh, or
What
is it our
would you
mentality?
do? I mean,
Or is it,
a
or
lot of
is
it
it
would have to be around your health.
your health and uh, at some point, well, your careers would be different because you worked a certain amount of time, so you could retire for this amount of time. Well, now that money's not going to sustain you
Oh,
for
no,
this
right.
20 or 30 years, or
Do you want to work till you're 600?
no.
How many different hobbies would you have? It's like, well, I can play 42 different instruments now.
Well, Yoda was in a movie
Hang
when he
on,
was
hang on.
900.
I haven't picked up the ukulele in about 525 years. I'm a little rusty.
Yeah, well, Yoda was 900 years old when he was starting a movie, so he's still working,
Look as good as me, you will when you're.
right? No,
I just watched that the other day.
it, yeah, I was just thinking, or is it that do we need to live that long? And is it our mortality is what defines us? It's like you have this much time to do these things, and if you go, oh well, I've got an extra 800 years.
Right. That's a lot of
uh,
procrastinating.
procrastination.
I thought I was, I was feeling bad because this past weekend I talked to one of my cousins for the first time in more than 40 years. And I regret it because we had very similar uh, careers, very similar backgrounds, similar sense of humor. Like, dude, I could have hung out with you on a regular basis. If we had lived near each other, it would have
Yeah,
been so cool.
yeah.
But, now here he is like 51 and I'm turning nearly 60. And I'm going, well, okay, Rich, we're going to keep in touch. We are definitely going to keep in touch at this point because there's a lot more laughter and good times to happen. And who knows, maybe we will get to get together in
Yeah.
real life again. But
Well, you know what? You
imagine
should fire
if
up Project
you
Blueprint and start reversing your aging.
if you didn't keep in contact, think of all the people you would meet over the hundreds of years and how the contact would change. And it's like, I haven't had that mobile number since, the year
Yeah,
2316.
yeah. Let me talk to you on my communicator. Yeah,
Right. Open a subspace channel. Like, we lost your contact info. It's still in Google Contacts.
oh my gosh, Google went out 200 years ago.
All we have is an email address.
Email address.
Ugh, I'll try it, but I don't think it's going to work. All right,
Right.
let's move on. We give a shout out to the chat room when we normally have people in the chat room. Is there a
Nobody's here.
connection is unstable? If you're on Wi-Fi, I'm not on Wi-Fi. Try plugging into your router and moving closer to it. Why is there a Wi-Fi symbol on StreamYard?
I don't know. It does that every once in a while. Mine says the
And
same
it's
thing.
like one bar. I've never seen that before, and it's really weird. Okay, anyway, I hear chatter in the background. Is your
You know what? Hold on a second.
phone on? got a radio going or Alexa's telling him something.
It's-
Google giving
Hey.
us answers to things we didn't ask.
Yeah, it said it heard me say went out to your 200 years ago, which is weird. It says it seems like you might be asking what the world was like 200 years ago, way back in 1823. Here's a glimpse, and it started spitting out.
Let's not do that. No.
Thanks, Google.
Anyway, that aside, we'd love it if you could hang out with us on Sunday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on Facebook or YouTube. Just join our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, jump in the live chat. We have somebody out there watching, but they haven't jumped in with a comment yet. Don't know if
Yeah.
it's
Lurker.
relative, strange, Snell.
Yeah. Oh no.
All right. We have one thing in the Remember When segment, and it takes us back about 1.2 million years.
That's right.
And this would be an ice core. The team from the South, the Antarctic, have drilled a 9,186 foot or 2,800 meter long ice core from Antarctica that dates back 1.2 million years. And it is the longest contiguous ice core sample. They said if you get down too deep, the ice melts and you lose some of that original data. So
Mhm.
they have to drill very carefully and know where they're going. It was collected from a site called Little Dome C, which is one of the harshest and most extreme locations on the planet. It's 21 miles from the Italian-French Concordia Research Station and is constantly slammed with strong wind gusts and near constant temperatures below minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit
Wow.
and Celsius. That's where they meet up. What was that joke? It's 40 degrees Fahrenheit. It's so cold that Celsius is also 40 degrees. It's so cold that Fahrenheit and Celsius have to huddle together for more.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I heard that, but when I heard that, I laughed so hard.
I love the idea of bringing up these ice cores. I think this is awesome. And
So
the
the whole
pictures.
point, I'm sure many of our listeners already know this, but the whole point of these ice cores is as the snow falls, it traps air in there. And as it compresses, you get these little air bubbles in the ice that are snapshots of what the atmosphere was like at that time. So you can go back in history and say, this ice core came from this ice so far down, and it was at this such age, we can find out what things were like during old ice ages, during warming periods, what the atmosphere, we can see volcanic eruptions. That stuff is captured because it goes all over the globe, and it's captured in South America, in Antarctica, excuse me.
Right. Right.
Well, also in glaciers. When we were in Iceland, wow,
Wow.
it's Mr. Michael R. Meningay.
Yeah.
Oh, don't tell him what I did to the old mixer.
No. Oh. Yeah, go pick up a piece of it.
I became a chop shop.
Turn around and pick up a piece.
Does this give you an idea?
I can hear him through the interwebs right now.
Guess this part of the mixer.
That's funny. Oh, he said he saw it already.
All
That's
right.
funny.
Yeah, so
Wow.
ice cores are pretty cool. When we were in Iceland and went into the glacier on see if I can say this right, Langjökull, which is Icelandic for long glacier, we saw the ashes remains from the 2010 volcano, and there's another eruption like a year later. And at that point, it wasn't so compressed. They were like a meter apart, 3 feet apart between just 1 year. As it gets more into the glacier, obviously compresses more. So it was like, this is a time machine. This is kind of cool.
So yeah, I remember the eruption, and I remember seeing the path that the ash was taking
Over
and it
Europe.
went
Yeah.
Yeah, over Europe. Yeah, so that's interesting. So it's about. Did you say it's about 3 foot for a year? Or how
Well,
much?
we were about 40 feet down at that point. So
Okay.
that's how much it had compressed. And if you go to Iceland, it's mandatory that you learn to pronounce that volcano.
Oh, really?
Eyjafjallajökull.
Oh,
It's just 3 words. It means island, mountain, glacier. That's it. Eyjafjallajökull. I'm sure I'm butchering it. The natives say it much better than I do.
right.
You put those 3 letters together or 3 words together, you get that really long name.
Mhm.
Anyway, ice cores, pretty cool. Remember when? They remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Yeah, they do.
Quick shout out to our patrons who always remember us and we remember them. Thank you to Alexis Duran, Amber Elstad, Amy Bowen, Abner Braverman, Ben Vaughn, Brian Brown. Yes, that Brian Brown. Chris Martinez, Chris MC, Dan D. Man Coyer, Dean Jensen, Denise Inglis, Gary Lindros, whom we chat with almost every day on our Facebook chat, John Clifford, John Noble, Yorga Schrauen, Crazy Joe, Kyle Nishioka, Leon, Mark Kilfoyle, Brad Miller, Mike Wills, Saturday Morning Media, Steve Weshy, Steve Cody, Steve Therian, Steve Webb, Steve London, and Tim Cook.
Roar.
They all went over to patreon.com/Technorama podcast and contributed to help keep this show shambling along. Thank you very much to all of you. And if you want to do that, you can also go to patreon.com/Technorama podcast. Get your name shouted out on the show. Get a postcard when Craig and I are together, either on the Star Trek cruise or Dragon Con, or
Right.
maybe in Las Vegas. We should do Vegas this year. We've done the Star Trek cruise. We did pictures on the Star Trek cruise. That was a challenge.
It wa-
Anyway, we'll
was.
figure that part out. There's even a t-shirt level. We're gonna have to start thinking of our 2025 t-shirt level now, what
That's
that
right.
design looks like. So patreon.com/Technorama podcast. Would love to hear from you. Okay, now it's one of my favorite parts of the show where we go through what we've read, listened to, and watched. We call this Pass Me the Remote.
Good to hear, Chuck.
Hey, how'd you get my
Wait.
phone? How'd you get my phone?
Wait. What?
Is yours the orange one?
Oh no, I just
Look
got
orange.
a leather back to go on it.
Oh, okay. Leatherback. They're endangered.
Not the turtle.
Oh, I like turtles. All right, I have a few of them since it's been a few weeks and had time.
And you're
to
retired,
catch up.
so
Yeah, that's a fallacy I learned. You don't have all that time to sit on the couch and watch TV, but you have more time to sit on the couch and watch TV
yeah.
or your phone or whatever. The first one is called In the Heart of the Sea on Netflix. This is I'm going to call it a derivative of Moby Dick. It's the story of Herman Melville, and he goes and talks to what I'm going to call Mad Eye Moody.
Mad Eye Moody.
This
And
this show is great. Is it? I got to check real quick. If this is the one that has all of the people from
That's Chris
other
Hemsworth.
shows.
Yeah, Chris
Yes,
Hemsworth
it's
in it.
got-
Yeah.
Thor and Mad Eye Moody, Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah.
It's got Spider-Man, Tom Holland,
Yeah.
and Brendan Gleeson is a older version of one of the characters in here, and he says, "Well, I heard there was this story about whaling," and he proceeds to tell the story when he was younger and what happened, and he's the only survivor of this ship. His story doesn't track to Moby Dick if you've read Herman Melville's Moby Dick. If you haven't, I recommend it. If you haven't, it's like the story that inspired Moby Dick. So you'll see
Right.
certain elements about it, like there was a big mean whale, and it wasn't pure white. It was kind of gnarly, beat up, and nasty, and that wasn't the point of where they were going. But the story then becomes one of survival after they get attacked, and the choices they had to make, and why Brendan Gleeson's character his older character is so withdrawn and in the state he's in later in life. So I'm not going to spoil it for you in that respect. I enjoyed this very, very much.
Okay.
The next one on Netflix was called Freaks. kind of a superhero-ish story. This is from 2018. I don't know how I missed it. It's only got 6.7 on IMDb. I thought it was just kind of a fun diversion. It's about this little girl who's basically locked in her house by her dad. And at first, it looks like it's a story of child abuse.
I was gonna
Uh,
say, wait a minute.
he keeps saying, "Hey, we can't go outside or they're going to kill us." She's just like, "Well, I'm 8 years old or 9 years old, whatever. Why can't I go outside? I want to go outside. There's a nice cream man outside. There's this friend." And you find out she's got this power to manipulate people with her mind. And he's got this power to basically stop time or create a bubble where they can keep going inside it.
Mhm.
And the world is not only against people with abilities, but actively persecuting them. So yes, they will shoot you if they find out you have
Oh,
powers because they're
dang.
afraid. And somebody,
And hey, wait a minute. And
yeah,
that is a fun diversion for you?
I liked it because Bruce Dern was in it,
Okay.
and it takes a lot of twists and turns. It's very unpredictable. I don't like
Okay.
predictable stories. So I thought Freaks was kind of fun. And let me give you one more, and then I'll give you a chance to go.
Sure.
It's called Number 24. Sometimes it's spelled out Number, sometimes it's NR24. It's a Norwegian film, so you can either read the subtitles or turn on the translations. And I have found on some of these non-American films that are filmed in other languages, the
Mhm.
translation acting is getting better. It's not just somebody reading flat lines, but there's some emoting going
Oh,
on
how
in.
can it not? People have been making fun of it for years,
Yeah, it's
you
gotten
know?
better. So I watched most of this with the English audio on, and it did not take away from the enjoyment as
Okay.
it did just a few years ago. It's a story about uh, a Norwegian man who, in World War II, was part of the resistance movement against the Nazis, and the tough story he had to go through. So it starts out him as an old man, kind of like the Moby Dick story. He's gone to this high school to talk to the students about what it was like in World War II, and they start asking him questions and the tough decisions he had to make. He was very good at thinking through things and remaining calm and planning. Lots of planning this guy went through. My biggest hurdle on this, I like the movie very, very much. My biggest hurdle was the actor kind of looked like Pee Wee Herman.
Pee Wee Herman.
Trying to sabotage a plot. That's
Oh, boy.
if you look at the promo, the Nazis get him at this checkpoint. It's like, papers, please. Please step out of the car.
Papers, please.
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
Yeah.
Because he gives him an alias. Like so
Yeah.
that was just a little mental diversion for me, and I hope I ruined it for you too.
Right. Thanks.
All right, what have you been watching?
Um, I wanna say this is on Peacock the other night, but, I it seems like you can't watch it there right now, but, I watched Saturday Night, which is about the Saturday Night Live, beginning. It's the 90 minutes leading up to the show, premiering, the first time, and there was so much chaos going on between that, uh, and Lauren trying to keep things together. He's got a pretty good level head, but uh, like I said, all this chaos is going on, and you're trying to figure out how is this all going to come together to make a cohesive show. As we know today's Saturday Night Live, and it really works. I enjoyed the chaos. I enjoyed watching all of the people act as the character, the people that we know, like
Was it
Chevy
like the
Chase.
early days?
It's
The
the day. It's the
first
day.
day?
It's the first day.
Oh, so back
It
in 1975 kind of thing.
Yes, it's like, it's the 90 minutes leading up to the premiere,
Okay.
and yeah, and it's like I said, it's so much chaos, and they're on the brink of not premiering it all, you know, and they're just gonna run a Johnny Carson rerun. It was if even part of it was right, I don't know how accurate all of that was, but if it was somewhat accurate, I think I would've gone crazy trying to keep all that straight. But I loved it. I thought it was great. I actually wanna go watch it
Okay.
again. It's on, and I do know that it's going to be on Netflix here very soon, but I can't remember where I watched it at. I thought I watched it on Peacock. Maybe it was on Prime, but uh, it's going to be on Netflix here in the next week or so.
50 years.
Yeah,
Now I
and you
feel
know,
now
I
I
know I used to really enjoy it when I was younger. I hadn't. It's kind of hit or miss with me now, but yeah, early on, I loved Saturday Night Live.
everybody's got their favorite cast though, as you talk to the different generations of people.
Yeah.
You go,
Oh
oh
yeah.
yeah, the Phil Hartman years were really good. Like, was I watching much of that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was funny as I was watching it, I was like, "Wait, that guy." And it was certainly not Billy Crystal, but it was a guy playing Billy Crystal, and the way he was talking, and the way Billy Crystal's accent is, and I
Yeah.
went, "Whoa, that's Billy Crystal." And I was pointing out people, Dan Aykroyd, the guy, whoever it was playing Dan Aykroyd, I
Yeah.
thought he kind of nailed it. He was great. So it's
Cool.
well worth checking out. Yeah.
All right, let me give you a couple more, and then we'll come back to you.
All right.
One of them I got from the History Channel. It's called History's Greatest Mysteries, hosted by Lawrence Fishburne. There's a whole series of them. The one that I watched recently was The Escape of John Wilkes Booth. And this one's fascinating from the standpoint of, did he die in the barn? So after he
Hmm.
shot
Yeah.
President Lincoln, jumped onto the stage, got away, stopped at Mudd's house, got repaired, stayed overnight, took off the next day, crossed the river. I think it was in Virginia, and they trapped him and one of his posse, although they're not really positive which one of his friends it was. There's conflicting reports on that, in a tobacco barn. And they walk up to an actual tobacco barn and go, "This thing is full of doors." It's not like you can bar the front door and, haha, we've got you. It's meant to be open and aerated.
Oh yeah.
You couldn't get out. um, and they said what may have happened is somebody else got shot in his place. He got away because there's somebody claiming to have been his son. Like, he got remarried and had children a few years after he was supposedly killed. And lots of these people with the name Booth are saying, yes, I'm related to whatever his name was, Thaddeus or something. Um,
Mhm.
that was his son. And they finally got down to genetics and said, we have someone who's confirmed to be from the lineage of John Wilkes Booth. It was like his sister, or his aunt or something, and she is a direct tie. So they have known Booth DNA. And all these other people agreed to give their DNA just to settle the argument. Are they related to John Wilkes Booth through this supposed son or not? And the answer came back with like all four of the other people, no, 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 no. And went, well, okay, end of story. You can't, the genetics don't lie. But
Mhm.
it just, like most of these episodes of History's Greatest Mysteries, it's like an hour-long show that could have been 20 minutes.
Just
It's
boil it down to a tweet.
painfully long. Yeah, it needs to be distilled.
Mhm.
Another good one that I heard through the Everything Everywhere podcast, it's called
Mhm.
Rogues Heroes. This is a World War II story about this guy who's fighting for the British. And it's not that he's anti-authoritarian. He's just like, he doesn't like all the bureaucracy. By the time they come up with a plan, it's obsolete because it's got to go through this department and that admiralty. And by the time they agree on something, it's too late. He says, I want to be able to move swiftly. So he puts forth a plan to go into North Africa and attack Rommel's army from behind. Because if Rommel gets a hold of this one specific location, then the dominoes will fall, and then it's on to Alexandria, and they lose the Suez Canal. And they really did not want to lose the Suez Canal. That would have like ended the war right there for England.
Right.
So he says, I've got a plan. Me and some other friends, which is why it's called Rogues Heroes, we're going to become paratroopers. And they said, do you know anything about paratrooping? No, but I can learn. I mean, he was very self-confident and cocky.
Right.
And he got some other friends, some of which were spend most of their army in jail, kind of thing. uh, to start pulling this off, and they started having successes, and they actually did turn the tide of the war. Very interesting. I think it was a 6-part series or something along
Hmm.
those lines.
Okay.
Just another one of these stories that you don't hear too much about because not many historians will cover the African part of World War II very closely. At least I haven't looked into it that tightly. So this is a really interesting story about how they really went on the cheap and had to validate themselves. They weren't even officially a department. It's like, yep, we're if anything happens, we're going to disavow any knowledge of you. And then they start having successes because the Admiralty just wanted to get rid of these rogues. They go, send them out on a known losing mission. We don't care. It's- we want to
Right.
get rid of them. And then they started having success and they went, what do you need?
Yeah. You keep saying Rogue's Heroes. I keep thinking of Hogan's Heroes.
No, totally
When you
different.
say, yeah, I know.
Hogan.
Well, the next thing Kim and Harrison and I started watching is a show on Peacock called Teacup, which is
Yes.
it seems like at first it starts off almost like a horror movie,
Mhm.
and you're trying to figure out what is going on here. And here's the description of online. Strange things are happening in the Chinathawa's secluded Georgia farm. Their animals are spooked and restless. Their young son has wandered into the woods and came back confused and somehow changed. Stranger still, a man in a homemade gas mask has arrived and spray painting a blue line along the ground. All this leaves a desperate group of neighbors forced to band together and face the unknown, a deadly threat.
Are you my
Uh,
mummy?
it's kind of like that. So I'm there's been some gaps in the writing here in the first few episodes. I'm like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm down with it, but we'll see as we go forward. But it's a
Oh,
lot of
it's a
creepy
series.
things at first. Yeah, it's a series. It's
Okay.
like 8 episodes, so it's pretty good. But if you're picky about the writing, you may it may offend you. I don't know. You have to check it out. I have to. We're gonna finish it up and see what's going on with it.
Okay.
So
I finished watching a 10-part series called The Terror, which
hmm,
is a drama semi-documentary. I'd say it's loosely based on history about a team of explorers, again from England, coming through the north or trying to find the Northwest Passage and getting stuck in the ice. And that's not the end of the story. They're provisioned for like 3 years. Well, they get through the winter, they go to the next summer, and there's no summer thaw. So they have to go through another winter and they get to the next summer, go, we're out of here. Meanwhile, they're being pursued by a Native American myth, a monster. It's kind of like a super polar bear, weird ass monster that is attacking them. And also, the part that is tied to history is some of the crew is starting to get lead poisoning from the tin cans that have lead solder.
oh, wonderful.
So, if you don't die from the monster, you're probably going to die from lead poisoning.
Yeah.
And the commander uh, has a second in command. There's 2 ships. The commander of the main ship, the Erebus, Sir John Ross, which sounds awful familiar, like maybe the Ross Ice Shelf. A lot of these people are veterans of former exploration missions, either to the Arctic or the Antarctic. And the monster finally gets Sir John Ross. Well, then comes Sir Francis, who was the second, is now the commander of these 130 or so people, and says, yeah, we're out of here. We're
Yeah.
grab the lifeboats. We're going to drag them across the ice until we get to, what was it, St. Franklin Island or something. And then we're going to drag them across the rocks there and head south. Because, well, first he sends out an early mission and says, all right, you guys head this way and let them know we need a rescue party. Well, they find that when the larger group finally sets out, they find the first group that only got 18 miles away. So there's no rescue party coming for them. It really is a fascinating story, and there's intertwined with all of this is the team dynamics. There are people that don't trust the captain, so now they're starting to splinter and go on their own way. Really,
Hmm.
really fun. It's interesting from a historical standpoint to see what the living conditions may have been like. Um, could you have endured being stranded on the ice? Could you have endured trying to trek across the land? They do encounter some of the native people, and that feeds into the story very strongly.
Right.
So, The Terror on Netflix. I
All
like
right. All right. So the last thing we watched, I like this comedian Nate Bargatze. Have you ever seen him?
Nope.
Um, did you ever see speaking of Saturday Night Live, the George Washington sketch with the guy playing George Washington? He was talking about Washington's vision for US.
There's been
You ever
50 years of Saturday Night Live. You're gonna have to narrow it down for me a little bit.
He's recent. It's not.
Oh no,
I
I
mean,
haven't watched any recent Saturday Night Live.
okay, you need to watch this sketch because first off, the sketch on Saturday Night Live, he's George Washington. And he goes, he's talking to his men in the rowboat. He's like, I got a vision that we'll have another word for 12 called dozen, and they're like, really, sir? Why is that? Because we can, it's our country, and we'll have 2 words for animals, living and dead. Cows will be called beef, you know, you know,
Wow, I'm sorry.
it-
I know the etymology of both those words, and that is that.
you got to watch that. Anyway,
Yeah,
the
I
comedian
I don't
himself,
think I'd be laughing because I'd be going, "That's wrong."
no, you just got to watch it. It's
Okay.
but, um, anyway, so he's a really funny comedian, and I watched a stand-up special on Netflix. It was just recently showed.
Okay.
So, it was really good. So your friend it's your friend, yeah, your friend Nate Bargatze, and it's on Netflix.
I got one more. It reminded me of Hidden Figures. Remember the show
Yeah.
about the women who figured out the astronaut numbers and all
Oh
that
yeah,
stuff? This was
absolutely.
called the 668 on Netflix, and it's about the Women's Army Corps and how they wanted to get deployed but couldn't get deployed, and finally, uh, there's a mother who's not getting any mail from the people in the troops in World War II. She says, I'm not getting email from my son, and he's not getting email from me. And the troops are getting demoralized, and parents are getting worried. And she goes to the White House and talks to Eleanor Roosevelt, who then talks to her husband, who then talks to the generals to figure this all out. And they finally get this troop deployed on another one of these impossible missions. They go, yeah, I mean, the general is played by same guy who plays Schrader on Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, he plays this racist general, like, and says, "Yeah, let's just send him off here and let him fail. That'll prove him." And they have to sort out the mail, and it's a backlog of like 9 months of mail that's taking up 17 aircraft hangars packed wall to wall, floor to ceiling, with
Oh my
these
gosh.
endless mail bags. And they go, "We're up to the challenge." And they say, "Oh, you have 9 months to do it, or 6 months, something like that." And they say, "We'll
That's
do it
worse.
in less." Yeah, they gave them a really tight timeline. Well, it was like 1944 when they started, so they had to sort this stuff out fast, and they did. It was really, really good. And uh, the captain who led all this, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. It's like Gates. Uh, she was recently honored in 2023. They renamed Fort Lee, I think it was, in Georgia, one of the Army training forts
Right.
that was co-named with her. It's like Fort, you know, something Gates, something
Mhm.
dash Gates. I'm like, well, that's pretty cool that was recently, posthumously honored for her. But it was really a fascinating story of true heroism, ingenuity, because they
Mhm.
couldn't read some of these addresses. So, how they resolved where these were going, and to make it even more fun, how do you deliver mail to troops that are moving around, and that's confidential information?
Oh yeah.
It's
Oh, I
not
was
just,
gonna say if
oh,
they
send this out to Squad 6. Where are they?
I was
I don't
just
know.
yeah, I was just thinking if it's been stacking up, and then they have this much time to deliver it. It's like how long, people move around. So I bet it was
Yep.
hard to track down some of those people.
Yeah, obviously the ones from the troops going back to the US weren't that difficult, but they had challenges there too. And then they show the parents getting like 16 letters all at once. But everybody was
Right.
happy at the end. I thought it was very moving on how, she was very protective of her troops. She did lose some of them as they were delivering, the truck ran over a mine. And so there's some sad
Mm.
moments, but there's also some heroic moments. It did again, this is another one that didn't rate very high. I think it was a 7 or slightly less on IMDb.
Yeah. Yeah.
I give it way more than that, just from an awareness, contextual, the acting and the writing and the sets and
Oh.
everything are really well done.
Well, sometimes the movie just speaks to you, and
Yep,
it doesn't
does.
matter what the rating is.
All right.
Yeah.
We have run long, but fortunately that's all we've got for this show. Hey, Michael, if you ever want to be on the show, we're doing these on StreamYard, man. We just turn on a
Yeah.
webcam and you're in. Let us know. We have a question of the week to give to you before we go. What tech or science dreams do you wish will come true in 2025? Transporter technology.
Yeah. Replicators.
Replicators. Self-cleaning homes. He says,
Decent
"Yep,
internet.
Mike says, yeah, I'm up for that.
Yeah. All right.
My stock portfolio to keep growing now that I'm retired."
That's right.
Oh, wait, that's not a tech or science dream.
yeah.
Growing service now.
That's right.
All right, that takes us to the end of the show. We want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can do so on the listener line, 707-530-2428. Well, that was the 10-second one. We did a longer one. There
Yeah,
we
let's say, wait
go.
a minute.
Like, music is over. No, that's the intro.
Over.
Roger, over.
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
Germans in.
Yeah.
Don't stop. He's on a roll. 707-530-2428. I will get through this. Or you can email us, technorama@chuckchat.com. You can also find us anywhere on the internet, but just by look for Technorama Podcast. You got a pretty good chance of catching us somewhere on X or Facebook or wherever we got that. Till next time, tell a friend about Technorama. Craig, thanks for all the help.
Yep.
Michael, thanks for hanging out with us. And we'll talk to you real soon. Till then, give us a binary high five, Craig.
10100.
Too far, too far. What? I was distracted by Michael's last message. You killed the board. I can't make you a new open. Oh,
Oh, he came back.
that's right. Our
Killed the
intro
board.
was made on that mixer. No, I don't think we had that mixer. I think it was on the old black one. I think it was on the one that preceded this one.
Did I lose you?
2006, we made that intro. Maybe 2007. I was here both those years, 2006 and 2007.
Mhm.
We're using Victor's music for a while. Oh, rats. I can't.
The
remember.
retro encabulator.
Yeah, we used the retro encabulator for a while. But you don't need to make us a new intro. We got this one that's been going for about 20 years. All righty. That's
you
the
didn't
end of the live
You
stream.
didn't catch the binary high five I gave you at the
Oh, I
end?
think you are right.
Mr. Binary, you didn't figure out the
10100. You added a couple of zeros on there.
yeah, that's 20.
5
One zero-
digits.
10100 is 20.
16. No, that's 22.
It's not.
No, that is 20. Yep, you're right. 1010. Did you have to look that up before you did it?
Of course not. Maybe. I don't know. I just thought it worked.
I count on my fingers
Yeah.
in binary. That's
Yeah. This is our 20th year. We got a couple surprises hopefully coming to fruition, but
Yep.
to celebrate. Yeah.
Surprise. We have new co-host.
Surprise, we're still doing this at 20 years.
Oh my God. We started podcasting in my 30s. I'll be
Started
60
podcast
soon.
when my son was 3. Now he's not.
Yeah. So we're now in our third. Well, this show isn't in the third decade yet, but I am. Oh yeah. All right, we're gonna end the live stream and record our Patreon show audio only. Till then, take care.
All
Be
right.
safe. Talk to you soon.